I kind of already introduced myself, so you all don't need to know that one. Uh, this is kind of what we discussed in the beginning for anyone who came in a little later when we were breaking down the self-employed. I kind of always just like to go into the different types of entities. So these were the ones that we kind of asked. I think LLC was number one. We did corporation, partnership, and then sole proprietorship, right?
Yep.
So like I said, depending on your entity structure and how you're taxed, it's going to play a big role in how we do tax strategy for you, right? And then every industry is different. So a real estate professional does not have the same deductions that a truck driver does, right? So that's again why we also want to make sure as far as like where you are. When I said earlier about the standard business deductions, these are kind of the standard, and you touched on that, Madam Foster, right on top. Home office deduction is number one. But what I noticed is a lot of people don't use this home office deduction. So yeah, we'll discuss that really quickly. Mileage is another one, of course, especially those of you all that are real estate professionals. I'm sure that mileage is big and can help you with deductions. Business travel, and if you all didn't know, when you're traveling for business, you can write off your airline ticket, your hotel, whether you're staying in a hotel or Airbnb. As long as you are there for that entire time frame for business, then that entire trip could possibly be a deduction for you. When we did our conference last year, we were there for 5 days on business every single day. We had meals, right? We went out, we discussed business. Foster, you and I went out one of those days and had a meal, and I wrote it off wrote it off on the receipt, right? So that you all have to remember that you all are entrepreneurs. And sometimes I feel like some of my real estate professionals don't remember that. You're a business owner, right? You're not just a broker selling homes. You are also an entrepreneur. So you need to remember and understand that everything that you're doing, you need to figure out, how can I turn this into a business expense? Right. And so for me, if I want to have lunch, I'm not saying, hey, Foster, let's go have lunch. I'm saying, hey, Foster, let's go talk about business. Let's discuss this particular topic. I'm going to help you. What are we working with you right now, Foster, with putting your package together for your membership, right? For you to be able to create a course. So every time I'm talking with a friend or a professional, I'm going to use language that the IRS understands, and I'm going to make sure that I'm running my business that way. So literally, just from you thinking that you're an individual or you're a consumer, you have to now transition your mindset into the mindset of an entrepreneur. And the mindset of an entrepreneur, we want to save money. If I have to spend this money and I'm going to be charged taxes on it, and the IRS says, hey, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, especially when you're an LLC, corporation, S Corp, right? Sole proprietors, you all have a certain amount that you can write off, and I'm going to show the Schedule C. But it's different when you're a corporation. It's different when you're an S Corp. You have a even wider range of tax deductions. And so when you work with someone like myself, who's very big on that, I'm not just a tax professional, but I'm also an entrepreneur. So sometimes you come across people that are maybe a CPA, but maybe they've never had their own business, right? And so the difference with me, again, that's why I call myself the realist tax and business strategist, because I'm going to come in from both angles. I have the finance background, then I have the entrepreneurship background. I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years, and then the tax background. So we're going to put all three of those together, and we're going to make sure that we're saving you the most money as a business owner, right? So these are just some of the standard ones, right? When I shared that no matter what business you in, these are some of the standard ones. I do want to also give you all like I want to kind of skip this real quick because I want to kind of give you some real bread on here, right? Some real, as I like to say, some real game while we in this private session. Record keeping is cool, yes, but I want to share this strategy with you, right? So I'm a corporation. My company is P. Stewart and Associates, Inc. Now, I set my company up almost 15 years ago. So in Illinois, to set up an LLC, it was like $500. So it was cheaper for me to set up a corporation. So that's why I originally set up my entity as a corporation, right? But I also became an S Corp a year later. So When you're a corporation and an S Corp, there are certain strategies that we can use. So I'm gonna give you this example. Because you're a corporation, you have to have an annual meeting, right? You have a board, you have board members, you have an actual president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, et cetera. When you're an LLC, you don't have that. When you're an LLC, you are members of that organization. So it's different. And that's why I wanted to stress in the beginning, the entity structure is going to be huge with how you're able to take advantage of the tax code. So because I have to have an annual meeting every single year, I strategize. What would I want to do? So I wait to host my annual meeting around my birthday. Okay. If I know I have to have an annual meeting, this particular year in 2022, the IRS allowed us to write off 100% of our meal deduction. Normally, you only get 50% of your meal deduction. But in 2022, we were able to write off 100% of our meal. So again, if I have to have an annual meeting, I want to go somewhere that I'm going to enjoy. Also, with that annual meeting, your entire board has to be there, okay? So I ended up renting a mansion in Miami. I love Miami. I ended up renting a mansion, which is this first photo here. I hired a private chef, which is now a contractor, okay? So he is a contractor, so I hire him to come in and actually cook and make the meals for us for the 4 days that we were staying there, okay? So now my meal is covered, but that's a tax deduction for me. The mansion is a tax deduction, okay? So I'm able to experience my life, live my best life. My mother is on my board. My mother has always been a board member. So my mother's listed as my secretary on my board. My cousin is also a board member. And then my, she no longer works for me, but at the time, my assistant added her on as a board member. So all of your board has to be there. So all 4 of us were there. I flew us out. Our airline tickets, our mansion stay, right? All was covered. All that's a tax deduction from my company. The other thing that I did was I held my goddaughter's birthday is the day before mine. So the day after mine. And so her mom brought her down to Miami the same weekend. So I surprised them and did a leadership brunch. My goddaughter is an entrepreneur. She started hustling and doing business at 15. I love her. She a Gemini just like me. So, so I told her, we surprised her. This is the photo here with her and her friends. We had a brunch, right? I was already paying him to cook. So now I'm doing my charity because I also like to give back and, make sure that we're empowering the youth. So her and her friends came over to the mansion. We had a nice day. They got to go hang out in the pool. And then we had a brunch, right? We had an actual sit down. But then I actually did a session with them. So this is me here in the middle. We are there. They have little notebooks and pens that I gave them. And we talked about them having business ideas. Some of her friends have businesses as well. So I also hired a event planner who is my friend. She owns an event company. That's her standing back here, Dora. And she hired me a photographer for that same time frame. So I'm able to do content creation, marketing. I'm able to fly my family, who's my board, out, okay, for our annual meeting. And when you do these annual meetings, they don't have to be in your city. If you wanted to go to London, if you wanted to go to Italy, you can. You just have to plan it. You have to strategize it. You have to put everything together for it to make sense. But that can be a legal tax write-off and deduction. And a lot of you all have family that may or may not be helping you in your business, but if you have children that are in your business, you definitely should be talking to them about being a part of the business. Because also when you have a business and you have children under 18, you can actually pay them. You can actually give them a formal payroll, salary, give them a specific time frame, number of hours that they're working a week, 15 hours a week at this dollar amount, and you're able to write off that entire amount that you paid them. So if you paid them that $10,000 for working in your business, that's going to help your family, which technically they should be doing, right? But now And so what some clients do is they defer that payment. Instead of giving it directly to the kids, some of them put it in their children's IRA account, right? Some of them actually do pay their kids if their kids actually have things or have a business that they need to do. But now that's another way for you to utilize that income that you're making, and you're able to write it off because now you've paid your child that lives in the house with you, that you're feeding, you're doing everything for. So now they're able to give you a tax deduction, right? So we